Okay, next it'll be time to remove the actual left hand grip from the weapon, keeping in mind that there is a spring underneath that may come loose, so you're going to want to keep track of that just in case it goes flying off. You want to keep your hand near it as you remove that hand grip. And we'll give you a little bit of an update right after we get this hand grip off on where that particular spring is located. So you're going to go ahead and remove the screw, put it off to the side, then remove the hand grip carefully. Put that off to the side. And then the next step that you'll take will be to remove this safety lever. It's a simple lever, it lifts right off. Next, you'll remember that we talked about the safety spring underneath the left hand grip. This is a view of the left hand grip with the safety lever attached. You'll notice that the small lever is located underneath that. It's that paper clip looking device that we talked about at the beginning of the lesson. Next, it will be time to remove the right hand grip. The best news about this is there are no parts underneath the right hand grip once you have removed the cocking lever. So you simply remove the right hand grip and place it off to the side. You have now completed the lower receiver disassembly. So go ahead and place it off to the side. Now, in regards to the trigger, there are no user serviceable parts in the trigger. You can take it to an experienced gunsmith if there is a problem with the trigger, or talk to Jimenez Arms. But really, there is no need to take this apart and clean it. It's just a simple matter of wiping down and lubrication of the trigger itself. Now let's go ahead and simply take an inventory of our lower receiver parts. There should be a total of 10 individual parts, including the lower receiver once stripped. So let's review those starting at the top. First, you have the mainspring. Then below that you have the cocking and trigger components, of which there are 3: the spring, the ramp, and the tab. Below that you should have your safety lever, and then you have the 2 hand grips and screws, and finally you have the lower receiver. Again, this is a good time to stop, inventory your parts, and make sure that you have all these parts. Alright, so now it's time to finally begin cleaning the actual weapon. So you'll need your bottle of solvent. You also need your push-down rods, and the push-down rod that we're going to be using for this step will be the push-down rod that contains a wire brush at the end. So go ahead and dip that wire brush into the solvent and we'll begin cleaning the weapon. Alright, so now let's actually clean the weapon using that bore brush on the cleaning rod. You're going to go ahead and insert that into the barrel. Force it down through. It'll be a little bit difficult, twisting and pulling and pushing as you go. Do this about 2 or 3 times just to make sure that you get all of the carbon loosened that's inside of that from going to the firing range. And that'll be basically it for cleaning the barrel with the bore brush. Alright, so the next step is going to be to go ahead and clean the chamber and the barrel at the beveled end where the bullet enters into the actual barrel. And we're going to go ahead and use our wire brush for that. Okay, now we'll move on. Our next step will be to use the cleaning rod with the patch end for running through the barrel in order to remove all the old solvent and carbon that we removed in our cleaning step. Alright, so now we're going to actually go ahead and insert a patch into the needle end of our cleaning rod. And I usually do this so that it's shaped in a triangle. It's easier to put in. You just fold it over a triangular shape so it looks like this. Then you're going to go ahead and insert that into the barrel. And you're going to want to use as many patches as necessary for this particular step and the barrel to come out clean. And all the patches should run through clean. Alright, so our next step is going to be to go ahead and clean the actual lower receiver, the exterior, with your toothbrush. So you're going to go ahead and dip your toothbrush into the solvent. Once you have a good mix, a light mix of solvent on the toothbrush, we're going to go ahead and begin cleaning the exterior. And we're going to do that simply by brushing all of the surfaces, nooks, crannies, places that are difficult to reach with a rag, all over the exterior of the weapon. This removes all of the carbon, dirt, and residual debris that came onto the weapon during the firing process. Excellent. So now that we've completed the lower receiver, we're going to just work on the upper receiver, and it's really just an external cleaning. Since there's no internal parts that need to be removed, you're just going to go ahead and brush down the entire thing with that toothbrush and solvent on the upper receiver. Get it real good, all the nooks and crannies, and go ahead and lay that off to the side. Alright, so now it's back to our trusty lower receiver parts. You're going to want to scrub all these with a toothbrush, avoiding the plastic pistol grips with the solvent. You want to get all the parts, get them all clean, and wipe them down. Then we'll move along to the upper receiver parts, which is really just the firing spring, the firing pin, and the latch pin. Those all need to be scrubbed down, cleaned off, and prepared for lubrication. Alright, so here in the next frame, the next part of the video, we're just going to do a simple cleaning of the firing pin using our toothbrush. You can use this same example on all of the smaller items. Just a little brush, get all that carbon off, get all the dirt off, get all the debris off, and wipe it off with a rag after to get that final clean. So the next step is very simple. We're just going to go ahead and take a rag, and we're going to go ahead and wipe down all the exterior surfaces of the lower receiver to remove any excess solvent. You're going to want to get everything, pay close attention to the trigger, and then you're going to take the same steps with the rag and wipe off all the excess solvent that's on the upper receiver. Make sure that you get both components real well. We don't want any excess solvent left over once we're done with the wipe down. Alright, now that you've completed all of the scrubbing with the wire brush and the solvent, it's very important for everyone to remember that you cannot reassemble this weapon and use it functionally if it has not been lubricated. So at this point we need to stop, make sure that we are accounting for all of our parts, and prepare for lubrication. So let's go ahead and begin that process. Just like when we were using the solvent, we're going to be using clean, dry patches through our patch rod, our cleaning rod, and we're going to apply just a couple, one or two drops of our quality gun oil to our patch. And the reason we're going to be applying it to our patch is we're going to actually lubricate and run gun oil down the barrel of the weapon to lubricate the barrel of the weapon. This prevents rust and debris and all of that from pitting the inside of the barrel. So we're going to do that a couple of times. It's just going to be a light coat. If you want afterward, you can always go ahead and run another patch through to dry it out a little bit. Then you're going to apply just drops of oil to various parts of the weapon for lubrication, paying special attention to moving parts. In this case, we're taking care of all the exterior parts and the cocking mechanism. And we're going to make sure all of that gets a good coat of lubrication. Once the lubrication's been applied, we're simply going to wipe off the gun oil, leaving a light coat of lubrication throughout the entire weapon. Again, pay special attention to any mechanisms. Make sure that they get a good coating of oil. Excellent. You have reached the end of part 2 of this instructional video. This is a great time to take a break or go back and review items you may need more help with. When you're ready, you may proceed to the final segment, part 3.